Right, come on, you four-eyed fat-faced fool. Tell us what's going to be in the new podcast from the two mics.
Well, plenty of buffoonery from you and lots of sense from me. What else? For a time, you know what to do. We are at the two mics, of course, at Mike Parry 8 and at IROMG. And it's time to say a very good morning for his first show of the week with me, Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Great to be here again. Got a week ahead of us, which is going to be very, very exciting.
Is it?
Yeah, very exciting indeed. Pardon?
Oh, actually, yeah, I'm going to Birmingham in the morning.
You're going to Birmingham to suss out the theatre?
Yeah, I'm going to give a bit
Theatre?
of a recce to the Birmingham Repertory Theatre.
Absolutely.
Where we're on March the 6th, where pretty much tickets have all gone, really.
Well, they've all gone. There's about 3 left or something like that. But we're holding on to those because we will have some VIP guests as we get closer to the day. And we want to be able to VIP them. You see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely right.
But no, it's great that you're going up there. It's a wonderful venue. And we expect a wonderful night to happen on March the 6th. So that is great stuff, okay?
And also, you must be in a very good mood still from Saturday after
absolutely.
Everton. You weren't very confident Everton were going to get 3 points, I wouldn't have thought, when we
roll
our way down
I wouldn't say I was unconfident. I mean, when you decided to, barge into the first-class compartment of the train on the way down there...
That's not what happened.
I felt you were finally trying to attest to my sort of standards. You know what I mean? I was quite pleased.
Why don't I tell exactly what did happen?
Last
time we went to Crystal Palace, we ended up going on a local train, which was fine because it was more or less one of those kind of commuter trains, right?
Yeah.
This time we ended up going on the Brighton Express train.
Yes, that's right.
Which is a very much bigger train.
Which stops at East Croydon.
Which stops at East Croydon, yeah. But which has not just a small, very, sort of bijou section for first-class passengers, but has an entire carriage for first-class passengers, which clearly you're not supposed to sit in if you're just travelling in an Oyster card.
Why not?
Because you don't have a first-class ticket.
Well, look, if anybody ever
comes
along...
You made me sit there.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I said, should we sit here? You said, yeah, no problem at all.
No, that's not what I said.
But if anybody comes along, if a guard or anybody comes along and says you shouldn't be in this carriage, you simply pay the upgrade money.
Well,
it's as simple as that.
Well, we're going 10 minutes to East Croydon.
I don't care. The point is that, you need a bit of space to be able to breathe on the way to a football match.
Not really.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's a price worth paying.
Yeah, but it's not a price worth paying if you don't pay the price. Paying.
Well, yeah, but I would have paid the price if somebody had come along and asked me to.
I think they've changed the law anyway. If you don't have a ticket when you're in there, you get fined.
No, I don't think that's the case. And also, there's all these...
And I don't wish to be, put down as some kind of miscreant, a person who doesn't pay the fare.
But there's all these strange rules, about, first-class carriages are available to second-class ticket holders at weekends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's only on, big trips up north.
No, I don't think it is.
You can upgrade yourself.
See, I don't think you know your railway laws very well, Mike. And if you don't know your railway laws, you're talking through your hat again.
All I know is that there was nobody else sitting in there.
Well, that's because nobody knows the laws like I do.
Right.
And also, I'm happy to pay. If somebody came along and said, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be here, you've got 2 choices. You either say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm blind and I didn't know this was first class.
So you would just lie?
Well, I might do. I'll go back and sit in second class.
Yeah.
Or you say, well, I'm sorry, but, my view is...
me, wouldn't you?
My role in life... Yeah, I probably would. I'd probably say, this guy brought me in here, but look, don't worry, I'll put my hand in my pocket, bring out another £10 note, give it to you, and you can either put that in your pocket or you can give me a ticket or do whatever you want to do, but get out of my face, please, because I'd like to have a quiet journey down to East Croydon.
And then the next thing you'd see is you'd arrive at East Croydon and there'd be 2 members of the British Transport Police there to haul you off.
I doubt that very much indeed. But anyway, once we got to Crystal Palace, it was a wonderful occasion. Mr. Chris Powelson, who's head of commercial and marketing at Palace, made us feel extremely welcome.
I've got a couple of bones to pick with you about it, I have to say.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Well, for example, last year when we went down there, we were both asked to do the raffle, right?
Yes.
This year, you sort of commandeered the raffle on your own.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Last year we did it together. Did we not?
Do you know?
Did we not do it together?
I'd forgotten that.
Did we not do it together last year?
I'd forgotten that.
You'd forgotten that we did it together?
I'd forgotten we did it together.
We were invited as the 2 mics.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You immediately, suddenly, next thing I know, I thought you were going to the toilet. Next thing I know, you're up there commandeering the microphone.
Hang on.
Commandeering the microphone.
Hang on.
And performing like some kind of seal.
Hang on.
And I'm left sitting at the table going, why is he doing this on his own?
Well, listen, I didn't know we both did it last year, right?
We didn't know.
I forgot.
You forgot.
Right, now
Conveniently.
Now then, Jim Cannon, who's a former Palace player.
Yes.
Legend, Palace legend. He was holding the room,
oh, yeah.
right? And he literally said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to involve in the raffle now your very good friend from TalkSport, Mike Parry.
Yeah.
So what do you expect me to do?
Well,
So I need to get up and say,
you could have said,
Jim, can I bring my broadcasting pal with me? How could I do that? We were guests.
You'd obviously pre-arranged it.
I didn't pre-arrange it.
No, I think you had.
I knew nothing about it.
Oh, really?
I can swear to you.
expect me to believe
Don't
that?
you remember I said to you, as he was about to call me up to do the raffle, I said, I think we've been snared here.
No.
I said, I think we've been snared. So I thought it might be both of us. But anyway.
No, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that you completely and utterly commanded that situation and you completely and utterly set me up.
No, not at all, mate. I didn't even know we'd done it together.
I was left literally sitting there on my own at the table.
But actually, I did perform it very well, didn't I?
I did send...
Come on, I did perform it very well.
But I sent a picture out on Twitter, which is very telling. Because there's a picture of you in the distance, and everyone else is not paying any attention at all.
No, that's because only one person wins the rattle. The raffle. So what happens is, as soon as that comes out, I dash over to the table, stick the microphone in their face, ask them how long they've been a Palace fan, what they think the score's going to be today, are they going to enjoy the day, do you listen to the two mics, all those relevant sort of questions, you know what I mean? And
do you listen to the two mics?
Yeah, and I think you'll find I really livened that room up quite a lot, you know?
But people might wonder who were there last year, why I wasn't there as well.
Well, do you know what, Mike? Why didn't you open your mouth and say, look, I'll come with you or something like that? I wouldn't have objected at all.
It's not for me to...
that's true.
I mean,
Jim Cannon didn't seem to want you involved, so that's not my fault, is it?
That's because you wouldn't introduce me to him. You didn't introduce me to him when he came over.
Well,
you just went and sat there happily chatting away to him, shaking his hand.
No.
Yes, Jim, I've known you many years.
I don't think that's true.
You didn't even know who he was at first.
Anyway, listen, we met another legend anyway, didn't we? Tell the listeners. Kenny Sampson.
Who was also at the microphone for a brief period,
And he was in good shape, wasn't he? You know, because there's been a few, really distressing stories about
we saw him
Kenny.
for the first time last year.
Yes.
Having got back from, Crystal Palace were kind enough to give him a position there. And they've done it again. So we wish him all the best, Mr. Sampson.
Of course we do.
Now, the other thing I want to pick you up on is when we were leaving, right? When I thought I'd lost my coat. Do you remember that? And I went looking for my coat and went to the, because we were, funnily enough, more or less one of the last people to leave.
Yes.
We were watching a bit of the Chelsea Man City game. And I went to where the coats were all hanging up. My coat was gone. And I was convinced, because it's quite an expensive coat, my barber coat.
Yeah.
And I thought somebody's nicked it. Somebody's literally walked off with my coat.
How could you think that of Crystal Palace?
I couldn't believe it.
So well.
I couldn't believe it.
An evil thought.
I went back inside, thought maybe I put it on the back of my chair because I'd gone out smoking a couple of times.
Yes.
Maybe I'd put it on, absent-mindedly left at the back of my
Doing
chair.
your filthy habit, of course, caused all sorts of problems.
Came back after about 10 minutes of looking about, asking the girl behind the bar if anybody handed a coat, to find you sort of giggling like Muttley outside because you decided to hide it.
No, I didn't hide it.
It's possibly the most juvenile thing that has ever happened to me in my life.
That's ridiculous.
You hid my coat.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I didn't hide your coat.
Extraordinary.
That's a ridiculous accusation.
And my very expensive scarf that my daughter brought, which I also thought somebody had stolen.
No.
Valentino
You're
scarf.
talking nonsense. You
hid my coat.
I mean, that would be. I agree. That would be juvenile.
It was incredibly juvenile.
No, I wouldn't have done it. And by the way, I don't like people playing tricks like that because the 10 minutes you thought you'd lost your coat, you've just been heartbroken.
Yeah,
and your scarf as well.
Well, you know what? I was busy worrying about what I had in the pockets, what I wouldn't ever see anymore.
Your keys and all that kind of stuff.
I knew that I had. I'd kept all the important stuff, like my wallet and my keys and all that.
But I didn't pull a trick on you like that, Mike.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. And one of the girls said, we know the coat. She went off to get it. It was nothing to do with me.
Really?
Nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. I'm absolutely certain.
Right, okay.
But anyway, why are you dwelling on these things? Because
I hadn't had a chance to see you since then. I just point it out to you.
Brilliant victory for Everton. The thing is, when you score after 2 minutes, it's 88 minutes of agony, hoping the opposition are going to equalise or even pull ahead.
Right.
So it was a terrific victory for Everton.
It was
brilliant.
But it wasn't a great game, I have to say. I did say to you at one point, when you sit there watching a game like that, and I don't see that many live games, so maybe it's not fair for me to criticise, but you don't feel that you're witnessing, one of the greatest leagues in the world.
Well, it depends, you see. If your heart is with your team, it is a great game, because it's a great victory. In the end, it was a great victory. A, we needed it badly. We hadn't won for 8 or 9 games. B, it was away from home, of course. C, it comes the week before the Everton-Liverpool derby.
Which is going to be massive, isn't it?
Which is going to be massive next Saturday night.
You'd have to say Liverpool are the favourites for that, wouldn't you?
Well, you'd have to say Liverpool are in better form than we are at the moment.
I mean, Sturridge looks amazing.
And Sturridge coming back on is a worry, of course it is. But that brings us to where Everton are now after the transfer window. Everton done a bit of business. Aaron Lennon.
Aaron Lennon? What do you mean Aaron? It's not Aaron, it's Aaron.
Aaron Lennon.
Where's Aaron? How is it Aaron Lennon?
Hang on, I know more about...
How do you pronounce the producer of all of those big American TV shows?
Aaron Spelling.
Aaron Spelling.
Yeah.
It's Aaron Spelling.
It's Aaron Spelling. Anyway, look, that's irrelevant. The point is, I remember years ago going to Spurs and this young fella came on and he was such a fast, tricky little winger and it was Aaron Lennon. And in fact, I used my influence to contact somebody at the FA saying, this boy's got to play for England.
Really?
And guess what? next time there's an England squad announced, Aaron Lennon was in it.
Really?
So I take responsibility in a big way for promoting his international career.
Did they not ask you to check whether Aaron was in fact an English name?
Now it's gone full circle to the point where he's now playing for Everton, my club. I feel almost like karma's involved here. You know, the karma chameleon and all that kind of stuff.
Boy George.
I believe that is involved. I believe I could have had something to do with it.
You might be better off signing Boy George, I think. Aaron Lennon, all he does now is run sideways.
That's a bit of ridiculous.
He runs sideways. All he does is run sideways.
He doesn't. What he does is
doesn't run down the wing anymore.
He shimmies around defenders. And the thing is, it's a very, very astute signing because
no one at Tottenham is sorry to see him go.
The one thing we're lacking up front is pace. We've got Yakubu.
Yakubu's gone.
I know. Yakubu's signed for another. He was signed for Reading, isn't he, today? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he used to play for Everton. We've got Lukaku.
Yeah.
And Lukaku is a terrific player, but he
still doesn't look quite the full monster.
He's what they call a box player, whereas Aaron Lennon runs at defenders. You know, he worries them, he terrifies them.
He runs sideways at them.
He gives them schisms down their backs and their spines and that kind of stuff, and makes himself. I
think you're making the most of a bad deal. I think you're making the most of a bad deal.
What's a bad deal about it? We haven't given anything away to acquire Aaron Lennon.
Anyway?
Sorry?
How can Everton afford him anyway?
All you want to do is pay his wages in a loan situation.
Yeah, but he'll be getting a lot of money.
Well, I think there may be, I have no inside information, but I think there may be some link to Morales, maybe going in the other direction, perhaps in the summer, and perhaps that's some sort of business deal that, the respective chairman has set up or something like that. I don't know. I mean, who knows? But Morales obviously had a very unhappy experience missing that penalty, and
he looked all right on Saturday.
Yeah, he did, but it's put a lot of Evertonians against him. Don't worry about the time. There's plenty to talk about. You're always whinging about the time, mate. That's your problem.
Because we're late already. We've
only just started the show. All right, well, listen, I'll tell you what. I'll allow you to go to a break now, but then I'm going to talk about your face, OK?
My face?
Yeah, it's going to become a talking point tonight.
Well, it's not for you to allow it or not.
No.
And you can't say the B word anyway. It's banned.
The what?
The B word is banned.
54.
Yes, really.
Do you remember? Yeah.
Well, the reason
I'm not sure why you're playing it.
Well,
we're
playing it because you might not remember when we came out. It must have been just because you were very happy with Everton winning.
Yes.
You attempted to do a moonwalk in front of my cab driver.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
Fortunately, he knows me very well. Otherwise, he might not let you in the cab.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, normally, if you did something like that before the cab was about to take you somewhere, they'd go, actually, no, he's not coming.
Well, actually, I do remember that because, as you say, I was in high spirits. Everton just won 3 points and all that. I thought I would give your cab driver a demonstration of my moonwalk technique, which is very good, by the way.
Not that bad.
You have to admit,
Well, maybe we'll do a little video later on. And we'll see
good idea, good idea. And again, full of what's the word? Goodwill.
Wine,
goodwill.
I was going to say.
Sorry?
Wine.
No. Now, you see, once again, there you go. Just because Everton won and because I was in high spirits, you're accusing me of being intoxicated.
No,
not true.
Well, no, but we did
got a very nice note from Mr. Powelson today, saying how nice it was to see you boys and all that kind of stuff, So, all in all, a very successful trip.
It was a lovely trip, and thank you very much indeed to Crystal Palace. I very much enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll see you next year, at which point I may do the raffle with you, but, we'll see.
Absolutely.
Now, what's all this about my face that you
Right, well, listen, I tell you what, I've been studying over the weekend, a book on drawing. I've always wanted to draw.
Yeah.
And in fact, one of my ambitions when I was in the newspaper business was to become a cartoonist. Because I thought, I thought I've got great political nous.
Right.
Great political judgment and all that. And if I can translate that into pictures, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I could, become a famous cartoonist as well as a great journalist and a great scribe.
It might have suited you better as well because you can use a bit more imagination when you draw cartoons.
Use imagination, all that kind of stuff.
When you did that in your career as a writer, it didn't go down quite so well, did it?
What do you mean?
Well, because you can't just make stuff up when you're writing
I didn't make
stories.
stuff up, you idiot. I went all over the world and researched my facts.
No need to get rude.
What are you on about? Now, you see this book of mine? Look, it's how to draw step by step. You see? See this new book
here?
Well,
they do those courses, don't they, where you can go and learn how to draw an oil painting, like Rembrandt,
that's right.
which I've always been very suspicious of.
But what you do here is you make a grid of the page that you're going to draw on. You see what I mean?
Right.
Like you see these numbers in A to Z's, A6, B4 and all that.
It's a grid.
Well, you draw up a grid like that.
Yeah, I know what a grid is.
And then you get the specific, contours of a face or something like that, and you put them on.
Yeah, but I don't understand how you can turn a grid system into being able to paint.
Well, you've got to read and research it like I've done over the weekend,
Yeah, but you can't get the light and shade into it.
Yes, you can, because then it teaches you through these stages. Step 1, using the box method. Step 2, outline face and body. Step 3, introduce shading. Step 4, start to fill in the shadows. Step 5, time for the detail. Step 6, the finishing finishing
Why are you
touches.
shouting, by the way?
And I'm going to do all this in the next hour and a half,
You're
right?
going to draw me, are you?
And produce a picture of your face, yes, whilst
Okay.
we're recording. And then at the end, kids, we'll put out a picture of that on Twitter, and you'll be able to see just how I've mastered the art of drawing over the weekend. I may still yet become a political cartoonist.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure anybody's going to be holding their breath for you to be
I
the next
think
sort of
they
Ralph
will be.
Steadman or anything like that.
Who?
Ralph Steadman. You don't know who Ralph Steadman is?
I fancy myself more as Scarf.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Ralph Steadman and Scarf are similar
Yeah.
types of
Similar
cartoons.
types of people,
What
yeah.
about Brooke?
Brooke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind Brooke.
Brooke in the Times.
Brooke.
He used to work at Express, you know.
Did he?
Interesting character. He used to come up when I was sitting on when I was running the back bench there, and you know what it was like. They would, the cartoonists would be
Yes.
asked to do a particular cartoon.
That's right.
And some of them were a bit more recalcitrant than others.
Yeah, yeah.
And he would turn up with like 3 cartoons that
Yeah.
he'd done. And sometimes you'd kind of go, well, I don't really like any of those. And he was actually one of the few who was always very good. And he
So I'll go and do another one.
And he just went away and did another one. So
Yeah.
they were very sort of,
Yeah.
you know, good at listening to those who perhaps they thought didn't know what they were talking about.
No, I totally agree. When I used to edit newspapers, which I did on a standing basis at 2 national titles, you know,
Stand-in basis.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you mean it's stand-in
well,
basis?
usually do it on a
What do you mean,
Sunday.
when everybody else was off?
No, usually on a
Yeah,
Sunday.
when everybody else was off.
No. Sunday's the most vital day of the week in the newspaper industry because
That's
on a
why
Monday,
everybody's off.
on a Monday, if people buy your paper on a Monday, they stick with you all week.
Really?
That was the principle put down by the very famous and brilliant Daily Mail editor. What was his name? David English.
David English,
Sir
well
David
done.
English
What
always
was
said to
his
me.
name?
Always said to me. He said, "We've got to get him on a Monday because then you keep him for the rest of the week." He was the man who actually started the idea. You know when you buy a serialisation of a book and you might pay £100,000 for it,
Yeah.
and on Saturday you'd run a blurb saying all next week,
Yeah.
right? But what Sir David English did was he did day one of the book, the serialisation, on the Saturday. And he said that would carry him all over the weekend and he
Right.
couldn't wait to get the paper on Monday
Yeah.
to see.
So, in fact, it wouldn't matter
two.
who was in on Sunday then, because
Oh, yes, it would. No, he had to keep it all going. It was a masterful task. And, of course, you had to blend that with the breaking news and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it's good. But anyway, I'm going to draw this picture. Now, whilst drawing this picture, Mike, I want to talk to you about faces because I'm absolutely serious here. You don't realise how important a face is. OK?
Well, I wouldn't
you-
say I don't realise how important the face is.
If you've got a face that that matters, face that matters, then you've got to look after it. Now, I've been researching this, and it's absolutely incredible, right? Come across a woman. You can't believe this. Yes, you can believe it. I'm going to tell you this. Come across a woman who deliberately has not smiled, right?
Yeah.
For 40 years, and do you know why?
Why?
Because ever
She's
since
married to somebody boring.
No. Ever since she was a teenager, she thought smiling will in fact damage my face. It'll give me wrinkles and lines that I don't want, and therefore I'm not going to smile. So she has not smiled for 40 years.
And how does she look?
Well, she looks like she's been having Botox. Show you a picture of her there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So she looks like she's had Botox. That woman is a lot older than you think she is, right? I'm not going to reveal her age.
Doesn't
It's
look,
rude about women.
Presumably, if she was a teenager, she must
Yeah.
be nearly 60 then.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Well, she doesn't look that old.
No, exactly. But I mean, the thing is, she hasn't got any lines in her face. She
Doesn't look very happy either.
She decided at the age of 15 that if you smiled, you'd have wrinkles in the corners of your mouth and what they call crow's feet
Yeah, well,
around
you
your
would,
eyes, right? In her 30s or 40s, she didn't want them, so she literally hasn't smiled. In fact, she's only 50. This woman, she decided this when she was 10 years of age, OK?
Yeah. So she's 50 now.
Yeah, Tess 50, who sits stony-faced while her friends giggle around her, not even a flicker of a smile, let alone a laugh, has ever escaped her lips. Tess isn't devoid of humour, but for nearly 40 years, she has made a conscious decision not to laugh or smile, even at the birth of her daughter.
Where does she live?
I don't know. It says...
No, you don't know.
Hang on,
You've
hang
been
on.
researching this.
This is because Tess says that maintaining a perennial poker face is a crucial way to keeping her admittedly impressive, youthful looks, OK? She says, I don't have wrinkles because I've trained myself to control my facial muscles. Everyone asks if I had Botox, but I haven't, and I know that it's thanks to the fact that I haven't laughed or smiled since I was a teenager. My dedication's paid off. I don't have a single line on my face. I mean, what discipline is that?
Well, what I was going to ask you...
What discipline is that?
Well, it's not discipline, it's idiotic. But what I was going to say to you is, why don't we find out where she's from, and we should invite her to one of our shows and make her sit on a stage and see whether we can make her laugh.
Oh, we'd make her laugh, don't worry. She wouldn't come to one of our shows for that very reason. Now, the other thing is, I was going to touch on this with you last week, but it's now become even more relevant because of my interest now in faces, right? I've got great interest in faces. I've got a very interesting face.
Seen the time.
Hang on. I've got a very interesting face.
No, you haven't got an
I
interesting
have
face.
been told all my
Why are you
life.
shouting?
I've been told all. Try and emphasise my point.
Yeah, but you don't need
I
to.
have been told all my life.
Yeah, but why did you hide your face with all that hair on it?
No.
No.
I have been told all my life, since I was about 17, women have always said I've got a very lived-in face.
Yeah.
Okay?
Even when you were 17?
Yeah, I've got the lived-in look, you know what I mean? You know, rugged, determined, thoughtful.
That's not a good thing.
A few furrows in the brow, because it means that I've been in a position where I've had to make very, very important decisions in crucial, stressful matters.
Rubbish.
Can you imagine how furrowed your brow gets when the Americans are firing missiles at you in Libya and trying to blow you to kingdom come?
They weren't firing them at you.
Well, no, they weren't firing them at me. They missed and they got me. But, I mean, what I'm saying is, can you imagine how stressful that is? Can you imagine how stressful...
Yeah, I can.
Can you imagine how stressful it is trying to get a shower room turned into a wet room with all the complications that he's bringing? I'll tell you a bit more about that later.
I presume you got an update for us.
And by the way...
Because when I came to meet you at the station on Saturday, you were on the phone to somebody about that.
I was indeed, yeah, you're absolutely right.
And it's a washing machine still in the middle of the room.
The washing machine is still in the middle of the room. And I'm getting so fed up with the wet room, I am literally thinking, I've got a picture of a property here of buying a chateau in France.
Oh, yeah?
I'm getting so fed up with...
That's great news.
With the home count. What do you mean it's great news?
It's fantastic news.
No, I'm not going to live in France.
Oh.
I'm not going to live in France.
Well, what are you going to do there?
I'm going to have a chateau in France.
Why?
Go at weekends. It's so easy now. No, it's so easy now with the old Eurotrain. What's it called?
The Eurotrain.
Yeah, the Eurostar. Yeah. It's easy. You can get a chateau sort of 20 or 30 miles inland in France, right? Man, you'd have to jump off the Eurostar probably because it goes straight to Paris,
yeah, it
doesn't
doesn't stop anywhere before Paris.
But you can fly to Deauville. It's a quick hop to Deauville from Bournemouth.
Oh, yeah.
They've just started, this is what's made me think about it all.
Right.
My family's in Bournemouth.
Late,
There's an airport in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
I think it's Flybe, the airline, who just started a commuter flight to Deauville.
Yeah.
You know where Deauville is?
Yeah, I know.
You played golf in Deauville.
But do you remember all those people that bought places in Spain because a cheap budget airline decided to start flights from Bournemouth to somewhere in Spain?
Sure.
And then they stopped the flights.
They were fools.
And none of them could get there.
They're all fools.
That would happen to you.
They're all fools.
Yeah.
If necessary, I'd charter a boat across the channel to Deauville. It's
Deauville
not
would
far.
be perfect for you.
Yeah.
D-O-H you would spell it, though. This is Talk Sport.
What?
Look at the time. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. Talk Sport, we are the two Mikes. You can find us at the two Mikes, of course, at Mike Parry 8 and at IROMG. There's a reason why we're playing this song.
Yes.
It's an homage to Everton, isn't it?
Absolutely. Just after Everton signed Aaron Lennon on loan tonight, I got a note from a friend of mine at Everton. It's a lovely note, this. Very, very witty. He said, how about this? In our midfield now, we have... I'll tell you what it is. It says... Lennon and McCarthy as our midfield. That's brilliant, isn't it?
It's very clever,
to play on Lennon and McCartney, obviously.
Yeah.
But Lennon McCarthy, got Aaron Lennon, James McCarthy as our midfield.
Oh, no, why don't you just call him James McCarthy, since you're calling Aaron Lennon the wrong pronunciation?
No.
It's Aaron Lennon and James McCarthy.
No. It's James McCarthy. And, of course, I sent a little note back, didn't I? A huge witticism, in my view, in which I said, here we are, I'll just find it for you. Just find it.
What are you doing now?
Well, hang on. I'm trying to work out my information machine, aren't I? Hang on. Yes, I said...
You're still making noise, by the way. Would you mind muting it,
what?
your information device?
What do you mean? Oh, is it? Okay.
It's making little noises. Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go where?
Right, hello. Here we go. Yes, this is the one I sent back. I said, well, now we've got Lennon and McCarthy. Excuse me. Now we've got Lennon McCarthy. We can work it out. That's what we've just played. Okay. Yeah. We can work it out, which is what I've just played.
Yeah.
And say hello, goodbye to 12th place, which is where we are at the moment. And get back to where we once belonged. What do you think about
very
that?
Good. Yeah,
what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's just a shame it took you 20 minutes to find that particular tweet.
No. Well, I couldn't find it, could I? Because I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
very good. Now, how about this? Robert has tweeted
Yes.
at IROMG, says maybe Porky can bonk into first class on the Eurostar to his chateau.
Well, maybe.
I mean, you'll have to buy a first class ticket there because if you're in the wrong section there, you'll get charged an awful lot of money.
Yeah, a few. I was going to say francs and a few euros.
Jason says, "Who the hell is Aaron Lennon?"
Aaron Lennon. That's
he
right.
He spelt it Areron.
Yeah, anyway, listen, don't even worry about it. Now...
and also, Graham says, Porky travels first class but only pays for second. I'll have to get the transport police to keep an eye on him.
Well, that's not true.
Professor.
That's not true.
Well, that's what you do.
No, what I say, I was under the impression... I'm not a fare dodger.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I was under the impression...
That's why I want to take no part in it. In fact, I'm not going to travel by train with you anymore.
I was under the impression
not to do it.
that the first-class bits of commuter trains at weekends are available to second-class passengers.
No, rubbish.
I'm sure I'm right.
No, you're not right.
I'm sure I'm right.
When we went to Cheltenham... a few weeks ago, down there after doing one of the live shows here, we went and bought first-class tickets.
Yes, we did. Yes, that's true.
Because that's the only way I was going to do it.
Yes, but that was on a weekday. That was a Friday, right? And what's more, we were cheated on that occasion. I didn't cheat anybody. We got onto the second bit of the train to Cheltenham where there was no first class.
That's right.
Even though we had first class tickets. So if I take my revenge on the train
shouting.
If I take my revenge on the train companies, right, to get back a bit of the money they swindled off me, I feel very much entitled to do so. Okay?
And another tweet here from someone who doesn't give a name, actually, a text message. So Mike Parry is a fair dodger.
No,
tut.
No, I'm not a fair dodger. I just believe I knew what I was doing, and that's what I was doing. Okay, simple as that.
All right. Now, when are you going to do this drawing that you're talking about?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it throughout the course of the show.
Yeah. Now, what about the business of faces? You still want to talk about
yes,
you've got a large face or a small face?
I do.
Something different happens?
No.
Isn't that it?
What happens is men with wider faces are seen as tough.
Yeah.
Tough guys. Twice as aggressive as those with narrow features. So if in life you've got a face like, say, Ray Winstone, who I think is a great actor and great personality, great character, pretty good friend of mine, even though he's a West Ham fan. Now,
good friend of yours, is he?
I'd say so.
Really?
I'd say so.
When was the last time you saw him?
We actually had a drink and quite a long drink as well, at a hotel in Germany during the 2006 World Cup. What are you laughing at?
2006?
Yeah, it was in Germany.
Do you know what year it is now?
It's 2015.
Yeah, how many years is that then?
That's 9
Would you say?
Well, OK, so
you haven't seen him in 9 years, but he's a good friend of yours.
Well, look, what I'm saying is, how often do you see all your friends? Not very often.
I see the friends that I have on a regular basis.
Rubbish. Anyway, in fact, he lost his cigarettes.
Did he?
I remember, and he's lost his lighter as well.
You didn't hide them, did you?
No, I didn't hide them. No. Now they come over as tougher people than, say, somebody like
Clint Eastwood.
No.
Clint Eastwood's got very thin features, narrow features.
Hasn't the Cumberbatch boy got a very narrow face? Cumberbatch, is it?
Cumberbatch.
Hasn't he got a very narrow face?
Well, I suppose you might say that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
so's Clint Eastwood, though.
Clint Eastwood was a movie tough guy, though. Cumberbatch.
What's his first name?
Simon. No, hang on. No, he's got a very posh name, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
He went to Eton.
Yeah.
What's his name?
There's a saint named after it.
A saint.
Well, it's not named after him,
Saint. Well, there's a lot of saints.
Yeah, there are.
Saint
Right. Starts with a B.
Saint Nicholas. Saint Bernard. No, Saint. What is Saint?
He's about to get an Oscar.
Saint Basil.
Basil Cumberbatch.
Is there a Saint Basil?
It's Benedict.
No. Saint Benedict. Oh, right, Benedict. Oh, that's okay. Anyway, he's got a rather narrow face, right?
He has, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if you had to take one of the other on in physical combat to try and, win the heart of a woman or something like that, you'd rather take on Cumberbatch than Ray Winstone.
I suppose so, yeah. I can see what they mean by
that. Yeah, it says here.
But it's like all these things. It's not universal, is it?
No, but I've read all these reports over the weekend. Yeah. Humans are programmed to see a broad face as aggressive as it is a marker of high testosterone exposure in the womb, say researchers at Brock University in Canada. It says men with broad faces would have had an evolutionary advantage because as a marker of aggression, it would see off the opposition without the need... Hang on. Yeah, without the need to expend energy in fighting or risk injury.
Well, it's probably a throwback to the Neanderthal days,
maybe,
isn't it? Where the men had sort of the broader the forehead and the wider the jaw was more likely to be a more macho kind of character.
Mind you, if you're faced up to a dinosaur, it doesn't matter what your human face with it's like, does it?
We've been over this. There were no dinosaurs around at the same time.
Somebody actually...
Did you see that picture of Raquel Welch that somebody tweeted out over the weekend, by the way?
In a Chelsea strip. Yeah, rather nice. And they said, doesn't she look nice? I said, she looks nice in anything.
Yeah.
She looked particularly nice in a million years BC, didn't she? And they're dinosaurs in that. And that's what first gave me the hint that dinosaurs and men were on Earth at the same time.
But it was a fictional film.
Somebody did point out that if a meteorite did crash into the Earth and kill all the dinosaurs, which are about 1 million times stronger than a human being, why weren't the human beings all killed off at the same time?
It's a good question.
A good question. Now, listen, more research here on faces.
Yeah.
If you are highly successful in your job, it could literally be written all over your face. This is another report. Academics say you can tell if somebody is a leader simply by looking at their facial features.
Really?
And certain characteristics can even reveal which profession they are successful in according to this study.
Really?
Okay? Now...
So I could show you a series of pictures of people and you could identify which ones were the leaders, is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying if I did enough research, it says here, high cheekbones, thin lips...
If you did enough research, we could have a lot of different conversations.
Yeah. High cheekbones, thin lips with sunken eyes were considered typical of sports managers. A masculine face and square jaw were needed for a military leader, and a slim face, close-set eyes and a long nose were found in those high up in business.
Well, if you look at all the football managers, for example, in the Premier League, you would get a very, very different panoply of looks. I mean, for example, Louis van Gaal has got a very flat face. Alan Pardew.
Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, Louis, we'll talk about him in a minute. He's moaning on the back pages this morning.
He is,
Alan Pardew.
He's saying it's tough being Manchester United manager.
Nose. So Alex Ferguson had a very different facial structure from, say, Jose Mourinho.
What I found all my life is, Mike...
time, by the way.
In a sec. All my life I found that when I walk into somewhere, the minute I open my mouth and ask for service or request a drink or go into a shop to buy something, I get instant respect.
Really?
I get instant respect. No, I'm not joking. Even if I'm dressed sort of,
like a tramp.
Not like a tramp. I never dress like a tramp. In fact, we're going to come on to that in a minute.
Okay.
You know, J-Lo has got 200 pairs of jeans in her...
J-Lo.
I want to know exactly how many clothes you've got in your wardrobe. But I get instant respect, even if I'm dressed sort of a bit dilettante, a bit loose, a bit casual, maybe even a pair of shorts. The minute I open my mouth, the minute a shop assistant sets... Or a hotel, somebody behind a hotel desk, sets their eyes on my face, I get instant respect. There's something about my face which says, respect me, because I am.
No. I think they're just concerned you might be some kind of itinerant who's wandered into the wrong establishment. So they want to address you straight away to see whether it's time to throw you out or not.
I exude strength.
Now she was from the Bronx and she grew up in this very tough neighbourhood. Yeah. Turned out to be a lot of old cobblers.
Yeah, it usually is.
She came from White Plains.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Never lived in the Bronx.
Absolutely. White Plains, North New York.
Just kind of north of the city.
Yeah, exactly, It always turns out that way, doesn't it? The poverty I was brought up in. I mean, Heather Mills, who actually has been in the news again quite recently. Yeah, because she's a very feisty woman.
She lives down in Sussex, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. Well, in many places now. She's got 25 million quid, didn't she?
Right. Maybe she's got a chateau in France.
Maybe she has, maybe she has. I don't know why you're mocking that. That's a great idea. You can buy them so cheaply these days. I'll tell you all about it in a minute.
Remember our friend Dudley Freeman, who went and bought he didn't buy a chateau, he bought a manoir, which is kind of one down. I went to visit him in France. He lived down
so a big courtyard in the middle.
Well, funnily enough, he had an amazing place. It was down a place called Poitiers, which is about, 50 miles or so south of Paris. Yeah. And it was an incredible spread. It had its own chapel. When I went there, it had a swimming pool.
Did a bit of praying, did you?
I didn't do any praying, no. The chapel, actually, as you would know, knowing Dudley Freeman, was actually underutilised. He didn't do much praying either. No. But he also had two wings where he put guests.
Wow.
And one of the wings also housed his great collection of library materials, which was how he made his money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also...
Which, of course, is useless now because everybody gets everything online.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But this was before all that. But it also was full of an entire collection of young French women who would come and work for him. Yeah. And his wife, who was very French, used to say, I do not care what Dudley does when I'm not here. Yes. But when I'm here, he must be with me. Yes. And she basically understood that when she went out, he was up to all sorts of shenanigans with these absolutely. Young librarians.
Absolutely.
But it was a fantastic house. And he bought it. I think he sold his place in Connecticut for about $300,000.
Sold that to our friend Ivan.
And he sold it to Ivan, and he bought this manoir, which was on a massive sort of acreage, and practically a mini castle.
Is he still alive?
For the same money? I don't know.
What, you mean don't keep in touch with friends who give you holidays in their home?
Well, he didn't give me a holiday.
Nice, isn't it?
Well, he didn't give me a holiday.
You stayed with him?
I stayed with him for a couple of nights,
You stayed with him for a couple of nights, so, used him as a bed and breakfast in France and passing through Europe to Britain.
As we were passing through, we've been on holiday in Spain. Yeah. And a couple of other people were going to be there. Dermot Pagavey, in fact, was going to be there with his family. Yeah. And so, we all met up. But you have
never bothered to keep in touch with him since then?
I haven't spoken to him for a few years. Well, that was a long time ago.
So you don't know whether your friend's dead or alive?
No idea.
What sort of a friend are you?
No idea.
He could have been dead and buried years and years and years ago.
You used to know him as well.
You still... I'll tell you a great story about it.
But you were never even invited there.
I'll tell you a great story about it. Because in New York, of course, he had this office full of Polish girls.
Well, I've just told you the story of the French girls in the
That's
manoir.
what I'm about to say. But in in New York, there were Polish girls, and he made sure they all fell in love with him by being an over-generous boss and all that kind of stuff. And then if one of the girls thought he was favouring another of the girls, she'd literally smash the office up.
Right.
She'd take off her high-heel stilettos and start smashing up the doors and the walls and the computers
happens a couple of times,
and all that
doesn't it?
kind of stuff. Yeah, because, you know, it used to drive people like that. But I remember one time I went down to, where was his offices? On the Waterside.
Waterside Plaza.
Waterside Plaza, that's right.
Yeah.
And went down there and he said, "Oh, Michael, so good to see you," and all that kind of stuff. And they had a lovely restaurant inside the Waterside Plaza.
Yeah.
So I went there for a steak, right? And then we decided we went uptown, obviously, up to Costello's, Midtown, something like that. And
You didn't do much work when you were in New York, did you?
no, well, yeah, I think this was one day off in about 2 weeks.
day off?
No, I tell you what, I was visiting. That's right. I remember.
Oh, really?
I was a very senior executive back in London then, but I went over to New York.
So you got them to pay for you to go and visit some of your correspondents? Probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was always a good one.
Yeah, and I went club class, obviously.
Of course.
And
well, you didn't bunk the fare.
what?
You didn't just bunk the fare, buy an economy seat and just sit there and go, "Oh, I thought of the weekend you could just carry
Going
on
to business
sitting
class,
here."
yeah. No, not at all, no. But just before we left the steak restaurant, you know, Dudley said, "Oh, I think I'll have one of my favourites." And he had, is it grenadine, the green stuff?
No.
What's the green stuff?
Chartreuse?
Chartreuse.
Yeah.
Chartreuse.
Grenadine's
Is it
red.
chartreuse? It looked like fairy liquid to all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
Was that chartreuse or?
Could have been chartreuse.
No, there's another green one because Ted Oliver used to drink it from the Daily Mail as well.
It wasn't like the melon-flavoured stuff.
No. But anyway, whatever it was.
You're not thinking of creme de menthe, though?
Creme de menthe. I'm thinking of creme de menthe.
Yeah.
I'm definitely thinking of creme de menthe. Well done. And he had his own bottle. He had his own bottle there for a few. So I had a couple of
Yeah,
these.
because nobody else would touch it.
Nobody else would touch it. Anyway, we got up to Costello's and a few bars and ended up in Costello's. By the time we got to Costello's, it was about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Dudley had lost the sort of coordination and had been losing coordination for the last 2 or 3 hours. So all the creme de menthe, the green creme de menthe, literally went from his bottom lip, down his chin, underneath his chin, onto his white shirt.
Must have looked like a zombie.
Yeah, all the way down the front of his white shirt to his navel. I mean, there was so much creme de menthe on his shirt and his chin and his face, and he was completely oblivious to it. And when people were looking at him in sort of surprise as to why this man had this green line right down the front of his body, he was literally oblivious to it. He couldn't get less.
Cross man. Now, believe it or not, the reason we started this conversation was because of Jennifer Lopez and all the pairs of jeans
That's right,
she's got.
absolutely. 200 pairs of jeans. How about that?
Well, you see,
200
got
pairs of jeans.
Yeah. Well, she's a very wealthy woman. I'm not surprised
But
by
what do you
that.
do with 200 pairs of jeans?
Well,
You're never going to wear them all.
Well, she probably does wear them.
Well, so what does she do? Wear them once and throw them out?
Why don't you ask her? I don't know.
Even that would take 8 months if you wore jeans every day of the year.
Well, you have similar shirts, right? You've said that you've got all your shirts are blue.
Yes.
Or of some hue of blue,
Yes.
some pattern of blue.
Yes.
You've got all of your, I don't know how many suits you've got, but
I've got 6 black suits.
6 black suits.
Yeah, that's all I've got now.
They're all the same.
No, well, not all the same. I mean, not all the same cut, but they're all black. Because that's the only colour I
I've
like
seen you in
wearing.
a blue suit.
No, you haven't. You
You
keep
have.
saying that. You haven't. I haven't got any blue suits.
Are you sure you don't think it's black?
No, I haven't. Listen, I've got 5 black suits up in town. I've got 1 black suit down on the coast.
Right.
Because I very rarely wear a black suit down there unless I'm going out to a function or something like that, right?
Well, the suit you wore on Saturday, was that not black?
It was
or
black.
was it blue?
No, it was black.
You
It's
sure?
black. I'm certain it's black, yeah. I've only got black suits. It couldn't be blue. Now, the other thing I was going to say to you was, the other thing I do is, if I buy a shirt, which I think is a particularly nice shirt, I buy 2 of them.
Yeah.
So that I've got one up here and one down the coast, right?
Okay.
Or I might like it so much that I think, well, that's only going to last me 6 months before it loses its, what's it called, consistency?
Shape.
Its shape and all that kind of stuff. Throw it out, and I've got another one here, which I like just as much, but it will have gone out of production by the time I get it. So I've got quite a few shirts.
What about the shirt you're wearing tonight? That's dark. Is that blue or black?
It's dark blue, but I've got 2 of these.
Right.
This is an Italian shirt.
Is it?
Bought at an Oxford Street clotherier.
What, M&S? What, M&S?
No. A really Italian shop, a
Really Italian?
shop. Yeah. If you look at this,
show me the thing.
Well, look at
Don't
the thing
take
in
it
the
off.
back. No, look at the thing in the back.
Well, I can't look at it now. I'll look at it later.
Well, you did that to me when we went to the restaurant. You wanted to know where my shirt came from.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, have a
Yeah,
look.
look.
Yeah.
What does it say?
See?
I can't see. Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh, it says
on.
it says Italian.
Yeah, exactly.
It says Italian.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How can it be Italian?
Well, I bought it from an Italian shop. That's why.
Well, it's not a designer though. There's no designer called Italian.
No, this is the finest clothes in the world.
I mean, it's not like Dolce & Gabbana or something, is it?
Anyway, look, I'm about to say you've got 2 of these, right?
Yeah.
So they'll either last me twice as long, or I'll wear one here and one down there. You see what I mean?
Right.
So that's what I do. Now, how many pairs of jeans have you got?
I don't really wear jeans
Well,
anymore.
I mean casual trousers then.
Casual trousers. I'd probably about a dozen.
A dozen?
Yeah.
A dozen.
They're kind of khakis,
Now,
right?
that's quite a lot. Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Well, not really.
And who
because
washes these and cleans them?
I do.
Well, you can't, like, all the time do all that.
Why not?
Well, because...
I've got, like, a pair of green khakis. I've got a pair of sort of mustard-coloured
And
khakis.
who irons them?
I don't iron them. I just put them in a dryer and they come out.
You don't
much.
iron them?
Don't need to.
You don't iron your trousers?
Don't need to.
What a scruff ball.
Why?
Honest to God. You walk around in trousers which are all creased up from the washing machine.
My trousers are not creased up. Well, they don't get creased up.
Disgrace.
They don't get creased up.
Mine get ironed.
Well, who by?
By my housekeeper.
She irons your clothes.
Of course she does.
Oh, very nice.
Of course she does. Of course she does.
I don't require my. You don't. Anybody who
Yeah.
wears casual trousers with a crease down them.
Yeah.
In my view, is a wally.
J-Lo's got hundreds of pairs of shoes.
Didn't listen to that at all, did you?
I did. You said Wally was the last word. She's got, look at this, picture of hundreds of pairs of shoes.
Well, she's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah, but I just can't get
How many pairs of shoes have you got?
that I wear regularly?
Yeah.
Maybe 6.
Including the ones that are held together by Velcro.
No, they're not held together.
Yes,
by
they
Velcro.
are. You've got Velcro shoes.
Yeah, but they're for the comfort of my feet when my feet are out of shape.
All right. So how many pairs of lace-up shoes do you have?
Lace-ups? Does that include trainers?
No, it doesn't include trainers.
I haven't got any lace-ups. You've
got no lace-up shoes?
No, I've got what's called slip-ons, but they're called something else. Loafers. I've got... no, they're not loafers. These are real leather... What do they call them? Penny loafers, is it? Penny loafers, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got some pairs of those in leather. I've got 2 of those.
Yeah, but why haven't you got lace-up like brogues or something to wear with a suit?
Well, because I like wearing my slip-ons with those.
Can't time, can you?
Of course, a good time.
Well,
a time I trainers, don't I? I've got about 4 pairs of trainers.
Yeah.
I've got 2 pairs of leather shoes.
Yeah.
And then I've got like
how many pairs attached by Velcro?
Only one. And I've got 2 pairs of deck shoes. I like deck shoes, yeah, great, particularly for the summer, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the winter I wear them, feels more comfortable or something like that. But what I'm saying is, even if I had 8 million quid, I would not have endless amounts of clothes because of the wastefulness of it.
She's also a woman, though. I mean, women,
wastefulness of it.
I mean, any woman that you've lived with. Oh, sorry, hang on a minute. You haven't lived with a woman, have you?
Yes, I've lived with loads of women.
You've not lived with any women.
Hang on, I didn't realise this. Miss Lopez is worth an estimated £200 million.
Yeah. What if you didn't realise?
Dear me, that's a lot of money, isn't it?
That's why she's got all this stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, I still don't know what you do with it all. It's just rubbish.
Well, yeah, but women, I mean, my mother had about 60 pairs of shoes.
Really?
Because she had a great sort of affinity with shoes. She used to go to these expensive shoe shops all over London and buy shoes that she didn't really need. She just loved having shoes. Every woman I know loved shoes.
I worked with a girl once who had a thing for trainers. She had 60 pairs of trainers. And I said...
60?
60. And I said, she bought a new pair every month when she got a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I said, where do you keep them all? And she had a special room at home.
That sounds like a bit of a problem. Trainer problem,
that,
isn't it?
You know, she'd got some joiner in to actually make shoe boxes, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And stuck them all in. You know, like we'd have a wine rack, for instance, with 60 bottles of wine.
Yeah,
she had a rack with 60 pairs of shoes, which I think is very, very odd.
So was she unhinged, this woman?
No, she wasn't unhinged. No, she was perfectly normal. But she just... And by the way, whenever she wore them, they were always spotlessly clean. You know what I mean? You know, if there were white ones, they're sparkling white, if the blue ones are sparkling blue and all that kind of stuff. But it was very, very effective. Just getting back to my chateaus for a minute, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you know why you
Take the time, by the way.
I know, but do you know why?
Let me just read you this.
Yeah, go on.
From somebody called Tris. He said, I've just showed my colleague a picture of Porky when he said he exudes respect. He's still laughing.
Well, a picture may not tell 1,000 words. You can get a chateau in, now where did I say? Like Normandy, that's on the coast, isn't it?
Normandy, yes.
Yeah, right.
As in the Normandy landings. I thought you would have known about that.
Yeah, I do. Now, get this. Jardin de Cure.
It's Normandy on the coast.
Yeah.
You had a great time in France.
Yeah.
Où se trouve Normandy, monsieur?
Jardin de Cure, right, that's the name of the chateau.
Yeah. In
Totes, which is Totes, right? Normandy.
I think that's Totes.
Okay, in Normandy.
Right.
Normandy. And the specification for this chateau, 4,500 square feet.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, it's very big.
Yeah, 4,500. How big is that then?
4,000 square feet.
4,500. Yeah,
it's massive.
It is. I'm trying to think of the square
well,
footage area of my penthouse.
Expert.
Yeah, you're right. It's about.
You've got about 30 seconds to tell me. How much is it, this chateau?
It's got 13 bedrooms.
Yeah.
It's in 5...
Well, you'll only need one of those, won't you?
Well, you know, you'd need them for your friends. It's in 5 acres.
Oh, you haven't got any friends?
Hang on. It's in 5 acres. It's set in a beautiful park with ancient chestnut trees.
Yeah, never mind that.
Walled cottage
garden.
How much is it? £276,000.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
£276,000.
Yeah, but I bet you it costs you £1 million a year to run it, though.
Well,
I'm
not sure. Yeah, well, there's not much heating, is there, over there in the summer and all that kind of stuff? You know what I mean?
It snows in Normandy.
Yeah, it does a bit in the winter. I agree. Property comes.
Well, that's when you need to heat your house normally.
Yeah, come to the large outbuilding at the park entrance. How about that? So you've got your own gatehouse.
I think it's a fascinating idea. I'd love you to go and live at the Two Mics. You can find us at the Two Mics, at Mike Parry, and of course at IROMG. And keep looking out on at the Two Mics, and we'll be sending out a few videos, no doubt, in the course of the coming days. Mr. Parry, we will be looking at your drawings a little bit later on. I wanted to ask you about this breaking news story about the bird flu down in Berkshire. Apparently, there's a poultry exclusion zone going on down there. I'm not quite sure what that means. Does that mean you can't eat chicken anywhere near it?
No, it means you can't take poultry in or out of that zone.
Right.
Because if you bring it out, it might be a diseased bird. If you take it in, it might be a bird that gets infected. So that's perfectly simple to understand. I don't know why you couldn't get that.
Because I'm being slightly facetious. It's a stupid name.
No, you're being facetious because you can't understand the danger. I mean, we could wipe out the entire bird stock of this country.
Well, don't you realise...
That's what happened last time, you know?
Yeah, well, it didn't actually. Do you not realise how dangerous it is to go out and feed the ducks under these circumstances?
No, it's not dangerous at all. We're not in a restricted zone. I tell you what I think is ludicrous is that last time we thought bird flu was going to affect this country, I think the government spent something like 16 million quid on vaccinations, which nobody ever took because
What, for the birds?
No, for humans.
Oh, really?
Against getting, like avian bird flu or whatever. And not only did they...
There's nothing worse than avian bird flu.
There's nothing worse than avian bird flu.
Right.
Isn't there avian mineral
avian
water?
flu is bird flu.
No, isn't there a mineral water called avian?
Evian.
Oh, Evian, that's right.
You should bone up on this French pronunciation if you're going to go live in Chateau.
Yeah, exactly. In Normandy, which is on the coast.
In Normandy, which of course is on the coast.
Yeah.
Well, most of it is.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say was... Two things from the last time we were all supposed to get wiped out, right? With avian bird flu. It wasn't 16 million. It was something like 1.6 billion we spent on. I
was going to say 16 million they spent in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. 1.6 billion quid was spent on importing all these antidotes and all that for a disease that never happened. Yeah. As usual, it
happened, but it didn't cross over the species, did it?
Exactly.
It never jumped from birds to people.
But the other thing is, it nearly bankrupted me. Because some idiot who thought he was on top of all this said that he expected so many people to die from avian bird flu, there'd be a massive surplus. Yeah.
Can you stop calling it avian bird flu?
That's what it is called. It's
avian flu.
Yeah, or whatever. And he said he expected a massive surplus of property in this country, which would be left behind by all the people who were dying.
Well, a lot of chicken shacks, I suppose.
Well, no, he was going on as though we were just about to inherit the second Black Death. Bring out your bodies, and people walking up and down the road with carts, chucking the bodies on them, and then tipping them into pits full of lime at the end of the road, and all this kind of stuff, Right. And there'd be all these empty houses, which people would suddenly take over as squatters. So on the basis of that, the valuation of my property went way down, and I thought I was ruined. So I'm not looking forward to another outbreak of that sort of panic and hysteria. We just don't need it in this country.
No, we certainly don't.
That is the truth.
Here's a tweet from Robert.
Oh, yeah.
Who sent this to IROMG.
Yeah, thanks, Rob, for checking in with us.
Has Porky got all those black suits for funerals of friends he thinks might not be alive anymore?
I don't think so. I think not. No, I wear black suits because it makes me look more distinguished.
And Droll says this: I've had to turn the volume down. Neighbours are complaining. Porky's shouting, and I had to burst out laughing at St. Bernard. Hilarious.
St. Bernard. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Bund.
Yeah. Well, you said. Well, I tell you what. Benedict
is
the most.
He's got a bit of a droopy look about him.
Benedict is the most unlikely name to come from the initial B, isn't it?
Well, not really. No.
Boris is even more unusual, I think, than
Ben.
Or even less unusual.
Some people are called Ben, which is short for Benedict.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or Benjamin.
Yeah. Here, listen, I've got one here. This comes from William. He says, Porky, your face is a face of integrity, a high achiever, a leader of men, and a man of pioneering spirit for justice and truth.
Spirit.
Oh, this is brilliant.
I
thought he was going to take the mickey out of me, but
Do you mean pioneering spirit?
That's what I said.
No, you said pioneering spirit.
No, pioneering spirit. I'll read that again. Porky, your face is a face of integrity, a high achiever, a leader of men, and a man of pioneering spirit of justice and truth. That's
you don't
not
think he's
bad.
taking the mickey out of you, do you?
No, he's taking the mickey at all. Here we go. Kumabarsh. Simon Kumabarsh, says Mike. No, I don't. And did you call Ray Winstone?
Kumabarsh.
Yeah, did you call Ray Winstone Ray Windstone? I bet he forgets his own. I forgets his own name occasionally.
Goodness me. That's from Liz, that one.
Yeah, it says here, greatest thing about France, Porky, is the French baguette. I totally agree with that. I love French baguettes.
I don't think
buy
that
them
makes
all
you
the
French.
time. Yeah. Right, here we go. MG. take a look at Mike Parry and ask him to see what his problem is. Calm him down, please. He keeps shouting because he's trying to figure out where his career has gone to.
Yeah,
it's a bit harsh,
that
isn't
is
it?
a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. 13 says, Porky got mentioned by Daddy Kelly on the breakfast show because of his idea of mobile refuelling. It might be happening. Genius.
When was that?
Well, presumably yesterday morning.
Oh, was Danny doing the breakfast show?
Well, I've no idea.
Oh, what mobile refuelling was I talking about?
Well, I don't know.
No,
You're the one that comes up with these wacky ideas.
Well.
Presumably it was mobile refuelling of your car.
Yeah, and Mark here says, I like how you stand up to the system, Porky. Not many would. So what does he mean by that?
Well, I think he thinks that you're a bit of a rebel.
Yeah, rebel. That's a great song.
Now, you've also discovered something about swimming pools.
Well, listen. I've got to talk to you about public swimming pools, but it's a very unsavoury subject. I mean, point is...
They're very unsavoury places, to be fair.
Well, this is what I'm saying, but you told me you actually take your kids to public swimming pools.
Well, I mean, I have had to take them to public swimming pools because, one, I don't have a swimming pool in my backyard.
No, you should go to a friend who's got a swimming pool and use
their
their
I don't
pool.
have any friends who've got swimming pools.
Well, you haven't got a friend who's got a swimming pool?
Well, not that lives anywhere near where I am, no.
Really?
No.
Oh, dear.
But the problem with public swimming pools is, certainly in their early years, you have to take them there because you want to get used to the water.
Yeah.
And, you want to get them able to swim as soon as possible.
Yes, I agree.
So actually, I tend not to take them as much now as I used to, and I tend to go more with either their school or with their mother. But they are ghastly places.
Well,
terrible
I mean,
places.
let's be absolutely frank about public swimming pools.
Yeah.
People urinate in them.
They do.
And
although there's now a capability of I mean, people they can stop them doing that now because they can they put this dye in the pool so that it shows up if you've done it.
Yeah, but it's too late when somebody's urinated in the pool. You might as well. I mean, you don't want to get back in.
It's generally speaking just a very unpleasant place. There's too many people use them.
I mean, and by the way, they're massively going down
and
now
they're terribly hot as well.
In public use.
Yeah.
Because they are, as you quite rightly say. I mean, just put it this way, for instance, if you thought, I feel all sort of dirty now and I've had a long, stressful day, I think I'll go and have a bath. Would you get into a bath that 30 other people had got into?
No.
No, of course you wouldn't. And so when
Footballers do, don't they?
Well, they do after the game, but I tell you what, Mike. In the modern changing rooms now, the water is constantly flushed through. It's not just a big pool you all jump into.
We all heard the terrible stories of what used to happen in those pools. Do you know that when I played at the old Wembley,
right?
When
you told me about that.
The Express and Star won the tournament. When it was sponsored by Littlewoods, I think it was the FA Cup. There was an invitation to get into the bath, the England bath, and loads of people wanted to get in there because this was the England bath that so many great legendary football players, and I wouldn't get in it.
No, I don't blame you.
I went and had a shower instead.
I know those dressing rooms very well indeed. They're very cramped and small, just at the bottom of the tunnel there. But
well, they weren't that cramped, but I just didn't fancy getting in a bath with about seven other guys.
I totally agree with you, and that's
why
we
were all naked.
I don't know why anybody would use a swimming pool. I mean, for instance, you have to go and use a changing room somebody else has used 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
Now that person might have had verrucas on their feet. I know that sounds silly, but I mean they might have left the verruca germ around. Anything, I mean, to me, it's just the Romans had the right idea. They would let you use the public baths and all that kind of stuff, but they constantly had hot water flowing through. I mean,
that was because they were spas.
They were spas. That's right, and that's
the only reason they had the water there in the first place.
I know that. Don't I? I'm not stupid.
They didn't have chlorine either in those days. No, I mean these things are very heavily chlorinated, which also is not very good for you.
No, it's not good for you at all. Your hair drops out and all that kind of stuff.
But I mean, it's at least once a year, one of these places gets an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease or something.
I mean, I just don't know why they're allowed to be there anymore. It's like the workhouse, really, isn't it? That's it's very much
I guess
like
for a lot of kids who don't get to go abroad on holiday and stuff like that, it's a good place for them to learn how to swim.
I suppose it is, but they're so unhealthy places. I mean, what about these open-air Lidos? Why would people do that? Why would people
Lidos?
An open-air Lido. I mean, why would you do that?
Well, I used to go to one in Finchley, which I believe is still there.
Yeah.
And they're actually much better.
Did you ever swim in the Hampstead pools?
No.
Because in Hampstead, which is a borough of North
Hampstead
London,
Ponds,
Hampstead Ponds,
no,
very wealthy
not.
area, people actually. What's that called? Free swimming or something, or outdoor swimming or something like that?
It's called swimming.
No, it's not. It's called something else. It's called... people who swim in rivers are different to people who swim in swimming pools.
It's not a river, it's a pond.
I know, but it's an outdoor one. You know what I mean?
It's an outdoor swimming pool.
No, it's a natural... It's not. It's a natural outdoor... It's a natural outdoor pool,
It's not like a lake.
No, but the ponds are natural outdoor pools. They weren't built by men, were they?
No.
No, that's what I mean. So that's quite unique, isn't it? And people swim in them. Now, you see, I suppose they're a bit closer to nature. I tell you what, I did swim once. I swum in this... no joke, it was a crocodile-infested pond in Western Australia.
Why?
Well, because I could, and it was serviced by a waterfall, so it was constantly flushed through. Yeah, the waterfall came over the ridge into the, and then it swept away down a gully, and you swam in the middle. But it was crocodile.
It's not unusual.
It was crocodile infested.
Well, did you see any crocodiles?
I didn't see any crocodiles because there was a fella standing on the side with a rifle, just in case any crocodiles turned up.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
no,
it was a great thrill. It was a great thrill to
maybe
swim
infested's not quite the word you're looking for.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, if it was infested with crocodiles, it would be.
Oh,
full
I
of
see.
them.
You mean, yeah, it'd be full of crocodiles. Yeah. Well, it was.
Maybe the crocodiles heard you were coming.
It was crocodile friendly. Put it that way. In fact, I'm not sure it was
Crocodile
a crocodile
Parry
or an alligator, but I mean, difficult to tell the difference.
Anyway, look at
Gary Newman.
Yeah, Gary Newman.
I didn't say Gary Newbon then.
I know I could tell you were going to say Gary Newbon, yeah.
Gary Newbon, a great mate of mine, and still going, by the way, as a top presenter.
I was going to say, transfer deadline day makes you think of Gary Newbon.
Yeah, top TV presenter.
When was the last time you saw him?
In his 70s. Gary, that
2006?
No, a bit more recently.
Really?
I think I saw him at some function in about 2008 or something like that. What are you laughing at?
That's another great friend of yours.
Well, yeah.
Maybe you and he and Ray could get together for a bit of a powwow.
Well, you don't see much of these guys. He lives in the Midlands. Andy Townsend's probably seen him more recently than me. Now, the reason we're playing cards there, right, is I just came across the information that Noel Gallagher, probably, in my mind, the greatest musician, singer-songwriter since the Beatles, in my view, at 47 years of age, doesn't drive. Now, your dad...
That is surprising, isn't it?
Your dad didn't drive,
He didn't, no.
For the whole of his life?
No, for all of his life. He took a test once and failed it.
Right.
And then just never got round to doing it again. I suspect, and my mother and I used to talk about it, I suspect that, he just couldn't stand the idea of failing his test because he never really failed at anything in his life.
Right,
He didn't fancy the idea of being humiliated again by trying to take
the test
it again.
Yeah. Too mentally challenging or
and
something.
so he always used to say that he was the navigator, and he was.
Yeah.
Because we used to drive across Europe as kids, and my mother would be the only person driving.
Yeah.
And we'd be driving through the night, we'd be driving across Germany,
That was
across
a bit
Austria.
of a stress on your mother, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
It's stressful for your
She
mum
was
and all that.
an amazing woman for doing it because she was never.
I know, I met your mother many times.
Never a fantastic driver.
Yeah.
But I mean, she drove us thousands and thousands of miles. We used to drive to Venice every year.
Yeah.
And have summer holidays there.
Yeah, right, great. My mum.
What do you mean? Yeah, right, great.
No, I think that's great. I think that's good.
No, you've got no interest in my young holiday times that I would quite like to talk about with you.
Well, I don't think
I might have some happy memories.
I don't think the audience is particularly interested in you running around in shorts in Vienna. You know?
Well,
what sort of image does that portray?
You were running around in shorts in Vienna about 3 years ago, but we have to hear those stories, don't we?
What are you
we
about?
have to hear those stories about
what
you
would I be doing
running
around in I was in Vienna, you're absolutely right, for the European Championships
in shorts, probably.
2008. No. Maybe, no, I don't think so. We were in, by the way, what a fantastic city Vienna is.
Yeah.
Went to the Spanish riding school.
Oh, yeah, did you?
And saw the horses there.
Did you see them? Do you know what they're called?
Brilliant. Hey?
Do you know what they're called?
What, the actual sort of horse?
Yeah, no, they have a name, don't they, the horses in that school?
Are they something like Impolos or something like that?
No, you're thinking of a Chevrolet Impala.
No, I'm not. No, what are they called?
Well, I can't remember what they're called.
Well, you can't remember what they're called. Stupid asking me a question, isn't it?
Because I thought if you'd been there, you would have been able to tell me.
Well, they all look very elegant anyway. They dance around.
They're all white, aren't they?
They're all white, that's right. Now, see, I thought this was particularly interesting because my mum, right...
Well, so you can tell stories about your mum. I was about to tell you stories about my mother, but you
did tell me, and I said I met her many times. She was a lovely woman, still is.
The Lipizan Ballet, it's called.
Lipizan Ballet. Well, that's what the horses do.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Anyway, that's good.
The Lipizan horses, I think they're called.
Lipizan horses. Now, sadly, my dad died before my mum was 50. It's over 30 years ago now, and such a shame and all that. But my mum had never had any inclination to drive whatsoever because my dad always drove.
So she never drove until that moment.
Never drove. But then, clearly, when my dad had gone, all that kind of stuff, she wanted a bit more independence. So at the age of sort of 50 plus, she took driving lessons.
That's very brave of her, isn't it?
I thought so very much. I think she had to take a test twice.
Did you give her any lessons?
Well, no, because we lived in different places then. She was still in Chester and I was down in the south, so I couldn't really. But I mean, we're all helping as much as we could to, and we're very proud of her to take that step because.
And how many times did she take the test?
Well. Twice, I think.
Yeah.
I think she did extremely well. I took my test twice. I failed the first time as well. But she got it, and it changed her life.
But
now that she's in her mid-80s, she's decided to not drive anymore.
Well, my mother doesn't drive anymore.
No.
She had an incident in the supermarket car park in Connecticut, which she still can't explain to this day, but we all had great hilarious times thinking about it.
Why, the car sort of moved itself into
another car?
Well,
she had this little Volkswagen Beetle.
Right.
Or Bug, as they call it over there.
Yeah.
And inexplicably, when she was coming out of the parking spot, she just suddenly started reversing at high speed and going round and round and round in a circle.
Good God, that's dangerous.
Well, yeah. Fortunately, she didn't kill anyone.
No.
She missed a couple of people by inches.
I bet she did, yeah.
And the car ended up smashing into this flagpole, massive, great flagpole with the American flag on it.
Yeah.
And the dent is still there for all to see, which I'm proud of.
Where's the car? Parked outside?
The car was written off.
So the dent is in the flagpole?
The dent's in the flagpole, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, right.
And she sort of scattered a few of the things that were outside the thing. My sister got a phone call, it was a Saturday afternoon, saying, there's been a bit of a problem down at the Big Y, which is the name of this place. And she went down there thinking, something terrible had happened.
Yeah.
There was fire brigade there and police were there and everything. And they took her licence away.
So it was a major incident?
It was a major incident. It was a small town,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, but nobody was really hurt.
No,
she was fine.
But
it was, it's quite a funny story, actually. And she still can't explain it.
Yeah, exactly. But she started to give up driving after that, did she?
Well, she didn't want to, but basically my sister said, I really don't think it's probably, not a good idea.
Now, Noel Gallagher, 47, doesn't drive. Now...
He says it's because he spent all his life being driven around by somebody else, which is fair
but you
enough,
see, I don't get this, because before Noel Gallagher was a superstar musician, he was a roadie, wasn't he? Him and his brother were roadies. I'm sure they were. Now, roadies, what they do is they drive vans around all over the place after groups and hum like drums and speakers
Marshall
and things in out the back and all that kind of stuff. So he must have been like a gopher rather than a roadie.
But you see, also, depending on where you live, I didn't learn to drive until I was 23.
Right,
because I lived in London and I didn't really need to.
You went to Bath, didn't you, for university?
I
didn't drive there?
No, I didn't need to.
I passed mine when I was 17 because I thought it was great, the freedom of the road and all that kind of stuff. Now, the other guy doesn't drive.
Well, you probably saw it as some reason to pick up women as well, right?
Well, wouldn't you?
No.
I had my first car when I was 19. I saved up and bought a Vauxhall Viva. I was a real catch man. Nobody else at 19,
yeah, that's what I mean, because
where
of
I was growing up, had a car.
Because of your snobbish view of the world.
Nothing snobbish about working.
You would think you'd have more chance of picking up a woman because you had a car.
Yeah, I did, yeah. I did.
I didn't need any props.
And in fact, I was very successful at that.
I didn't need any props.
I was very successful at that. And in fact, I tell you what, when I did pick up a girl who was particularly good looking, I used to wind down both windows, drive past... Excuse me?
That must have been unusual.
Oh, really? Oh, you think so, do you? I'll show you pictures of my early girlfriends.
Oh, great. Bring some in,
yeah. And I used to wind down both windows, drive past my mate's house because he thought he was better looking than me, hoot the horn and wave, and get the young lady concerned to lean out of the window very provocatively, you know what I mean?
And how did you explain why she should be doing that?
Well, because I told her, I wanted to show her off to my friend, and of course women have egos like that, so they're very happy to be...
Unbelievable.
Very happy to be...
shocking.
Treated like a glamour puss, as most of the women were.
Treated like some kind of adornment.
No. I used to drive down the road with the house on the right. It was a council house. His house on the right, and hoot my horn, right, because to get him up early on a Saturday morning, and then get to the bottom of the road, and then turn around and come back, so that the passenger side was on the side of his house. You see what I mean?
Right.
And that's when I got her to lean out of the window and look very sexy and wave at him as he was at his bedroom window and all that kind of stuff.
I'd love to
you know
see
what I mean?
some pictures of these.
Because I had a car and he didn't.
Yours.
Do you know what he had? He had a broken-down old Vespa scooter. And when I say broken down, I mean, I think he paid 25 quid for it, right? And it was knackered when he got it. And then he spent weeks sort of coercing his sort of mechanic mates who worked at, the local sort of garage or something like that to try and fix it. And it never worked properly. Then eventually got it to work. And then eventually started trying to pick up women.
Yeah.
But when he said he had transport, they didn't realise he had a broken-down old Vespa parked outside the nightclub.
And he had to put a crash helmet on.
Yeah, well, you couldn't afford a second crash helmet, so she never got a crash helmet. He just told her to hang on. Whereas I was driving around in what was regarded basically as a limo. It was a Vauxhall Viva, actually.
Nobody regarded a Vauxhall Viva as a limo.
Yeah, you did when you were 19. You did when you were 19. Nobody else had a car. Oh, yeah, I ruled the roost, mate. I ruled the roost. Don't worry about that. Now, the other person...
Hey, by the way, I didn't tell you, I got an estimate on my damage on the car.
Oh, right.
And it's an incredible amount of money. 85 quid for the materials. But guess what they want for the labour?
Ooh, I don't know, a couple hundred quid.
375.
375 plus 85, 450.
So 450 quid, basically.
You going to pay it?
No, not going to do
dear
it.
me. Listen.
Well, I only paid £2,000 for the car, so I'm just going to leave it alone.
Well, I wouldn't like to drive around in a car that looked a bit wrecked, you know what I mean? It would dent my image.
Yeah, I know.
The other guy in the public eye...
Your image is very important.
Of course it is. The other guy in the public eye who can't drive is a guy called Mikey North. Now, that won't mean anything to you, But to me, being
a new story starting now. Look at
no, it's about the driving. He's a Coronation Street star, right? He plays Gary Windass.
Right.
He can't drive. He's 28.
What, the character can't drive, or he can't drive?
He can't drive. But the character has to drive.
Yeah.
And so I read a piece, because I read detailed things about all sorts of things, that whenever there's a scene in which he jumps into his van, because he's a builder, and shoots off, the van's actually being towed because he can't drive. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Isn't that great?
Why doesn't he just learn to drive?
Isn't that great? Isn't that smoke and mirrors of television drama and all that kind of stuff?
I'm shocked to know
really
that
interesting,
sort of thing.
really interesting fact that I thought.
Why don't they just use CGI or the backdrop or something?
I don't know.
They used to use in those old Cary Grant movies.
I don't know.
Where the car sits still and they blow their hair with a hairdryer and then they show the screen movie in the background.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Unbelievable why anybody ever bought that.
And by the way, in those old films, they're always moving the steering wheel left and then right, and left and then right, like as though the road was a chicane.
Yeah. I know. Shocking. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up next, it's time for winners and losers. Toby Gillies will be here. This is TalkSport Extra Time with the two mics, and keen observers may remember from last week, Toby Gillies and Mike Parry were in a dead heat, which meant that for the first time in the competition, it's a double rollover weekend, and the winners and losers tonight will actually win 2 points in the series, which so far has been between you two, I think, 2-0 to Mr. Parry. Isn't it?
I think so.
Your machine's making funny noises again.
Well, this is because I've got a bone to pick with Toby here on the right before we get going.
Have you?
He says that he's seen already my drawing of you.
This is what he said on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, he's got one on me, though.
No, it's a lie. It's a lie, because I haven't finished it yet.
Well, I've seen what you've done so far.
No, what you've seen is you've seen my prelim pick, right? That's what I call it.
I've seen what you've done so far. It doesn't look like a person at all.
He's the kind of guy that would have poked his head around Leonardo da Vinci's gallery and gone, I don't fancy looking at that. That's a thing you're drawing there.
He did leave it in front of me when I came in to do my bulletin at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Here, look what it says here. What chance of turning my winners and losers' fortunes with the two mics. It's clear from his drawing of IRONG, that's you, that Mike Parry's not on top form.
Well, maybe he's just trying to play mind games with you, a bit of the Jose Mourinho.
Don't play mind games with him, mate. Too strong a mind.
Yeah.
He's got a feeble mind.
Yeah, OK. Well, let's get on with it, shall we? Since Toby is in a position perhaps where he may win winners and losers for the first time and actually level out the score, I think.
Right.
Or is it 3-0 to you?
3-0, I'm afraid,
3-0.
unfortunately.
I knew Toby would remember the number. Well, you can get it back to 3-2. Toby, let's hear your first 3 losers, please.
Well, my first loser, I only need 2 words for in the reason for it. It's the January transfer window. And there's just 2 words. Bloody dull.
Yes. That is
quite
2 words.
Simple.
Yeah.
That's an inanimate object. That's not a loser.
Well, a window.
Yeah, that's an inanimate object. It's a thing.
Well, a thing could be a loser in this.
A thing can't have feelings unless it's a tree or a flower.
I'll be the judge of that.
You have on a number of occasions suggested that the FA is a loser. That's a thing
as well. It's made up of people. Transfer window is not made up of people.
What's it made up of then? What are you transferring?
It's a myth.
Matches.
There is no transfer window. It's a myth. It's mythical.
Well, people are moving around within the transfer window.
Come on, let's get on with it.
Yeah, let's get on with it.
My next loser. All international football nations other than the United States.
Oh, yeah, why?
I'm sure you've heard about this during my bulletins over the course of the night.
I haven't been listening.
The President, Barack Obama, hosted the winners of the MLS, the LA Galaxy, including Robbie Keane. There's a photograph of him right behind Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And he has described how the American nation is starting to realise what the beautiful game is all about. Now, obviously, they had an excellent, for them, performance in the World Cup last year. And I just think that the rest of the world needs to worry. This is a nation with huge sporting heritage, sporting obsession, and sporting talent, whether we like it or not. They will be the next team never to have won a World Cup. To do so, to break their duck, I'm convinced about it, and I think from that point on they're going to win it over and over. It's a terrifying thought for international football. It's not terrifying,
but I'll tell you what, if you've been listening to me for longer than you obviously do normally, you would have heard me say that I think the USA will win a World Cup before England do.
I think that would be perfectly reasonable, absolutely.
So if you'd mentioned that, I would have made you the winner automatically. But you didn't.
Unfortunately,
you didn't mention
Number 3.
No. My final loser by quite some distance is Peter Mooring.
Okay.
This is a man who I'm sure is a Merseyside knowledgeable football man that you would know about, Mr. Parry. Peter Mooring is the man who spotted Raheem Sterling. There's a story come out. There's an interview about him when he was a kid.
Oh, right.
He actually was spotted him playing in Wembley, where he grew up, and he went to Queen's Park Rangers to tell them about him. Do you know how much money he got for effectively representing Raheem Sterling in his first deal with Queen's Park Rangers? £50.
Really?
If, of course, he'd stuck with him in his next deal, he'd have
But why didn't he stick with him?
Well, this is the question that's not revealed within this interview.
The question you can't answer,
I can't answer it because it wasn't revealed. It wasn't revealed within the interview.
Short on detail, short on fact.
I thought we weren't allowed to interrupt in this competition.
Brains.
Yeah, it's true. You shouldn't be interrupting.
If, of course, he'd represented him in his move to Liverpool, he'd made lots of money. If he'd stayed with him even now to talk about this contract, we'd be talking about millions of pounds. So Peter Mooring is a big loser for not sticking by his man and just handing him over for 50 quid.
Right. Maybe one of those poor unfortunates, a bit like the people who didn't spot the Beatles. Mr. Parry, let's have your 3 losers of the weekend.
I'm going to give you them rat-a-tat-tat. They are dynamic. One of them has got to be a winner because all 3 of them are winners, okay?
Right, go on.
The first one...
I thought they were supposed to be losers.
Oh, they're all losers, yeah. But I mean, it'd be the winning loser.
Then.
The winning loser.
Okay.
It'd be the winning loser nominee. Okay.
Go on.
Right, first one, Russell Brand. Because if you saw Katy Perry in half-time in the Super Bowl, you'd say, wow, what a woman. One of the loveliest women in the world, one of the most talented women in the world, one of the most desirable women in the world, and Russell Brand gave her away.
He did.
And then went round the world telling everybody jokes about their marriage.
Yeah.
So Russell Brand is the loser in this one. Okay?
She was
miming.
The second
one.
That. Sorry?
She was miming.
I don't care. She was magnificent. She
was talented if she mimed.
Her performance...
Well, everybody
all
mimes at
singers
Super Bowl
mime,
half-time.
Of course they do. She was magnificent. The second one, Tim Flowers. Tim Flowers, former England coach, famous for a great quote in which he said, I became a goalkeeper because I couldn't trap a bag of cement.
Right.
He has been laid off today as the goalkeeping coach of Nottingham Forest because Stuart Pearce lost his job.
Yeah.
That to me is a calumny. It's an absolute tragedy because Tim Flowers is a great former goalkeeper, great goalkeeping coach and a good guy. And the third one, because I've just seen...
So why is he a loser again?
Because he's been sacked by Forest after Stuart Pearce.
Because he's part of the old regime.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's gone. So he is a loser.
You know what that's like.
He is a loser. No, I don't know what that's like. So he is a loser by definition. The third one, because I've just read tomorrow morning's Daily Mail, Neil Ashton, one of the most respected football journalists in this country.
You're not saying he's a loser, are you?
No, but he's written a piece saying Cahill faces chop in Jose reshuffle. He's actually saying Cahill now is going to be fighting for his place following a bit of business in the transfer window and the fact that, and he actually says it in here, Jose has actually... lost faith in Gary Cahill. He doesn't think he's the man anymore.
Which you said the other day, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason is because he wants to bring the right fullback for Chelsea, name of Toby,
Branislav Ivanovic,
into the middle of the defence.
I thought it was all about Zuma.
Well, you remember that next season John Terry might be only playing occasional games, and it could be Zuma and, what's his name?
Ivanovic
in the middle of the defence, you see what I mean?
I see.
And then to have 2 men in the middle of the defence means you've got to move...
That's all a bit hypothetical, though, isn't it?
Well,
a hypothetical loser.
That piece also says that he's after Rafael Varane as well.
It certainly does. It certainly does. You're on top of the ball there. He certainly does. So they're my 3 losers.
OK. I'll tell you what, because it's come from such a left field place, I'm going to give it to you, Mr. Parry, for Russell Brand.
Thank you.
I think Russell Brand is a big loser of the weekend.
Thank you.
Toby Gillies, though, will maybe have a chance to come back on the winners.
Yeah. Well, winners, please.
Mr. Parry.
OK.
You only need to get a half a point now in the second part of this in order to win the double rollover.
Does he not lose anything for interrupting?
Not at the moment, no. But we let him go next and first with your 3 winners of the week.
OK, my 3 winners. Right. Yeah. First winner, absolutely obvious, Aaron Lennon. Aaron Lennon because...
You can't have him because you can't pronounce his name right. Although, worst thing I ever heard was that Toby started saying Aaron in the last bulletin.
There you go.
So you've started to inveigle into
Aaron
his
Lennon's career has been revived by joining
Aaron.
Everton. All right, I'll call him Aaron then if
well, that's
if
how
I
you
keep
pronounce
you
his
happy.
name.
Aaron Lennon has joined Everton, revived his career, will give Everton a bit of a revival up front.
Surely
there.
He's gone down table, hasn't he?
No, rubbish. Not at all. He's gone down table.
Well, where are Everton? 12th?
12th.
Where are Spurs?
5th, are they? Or 6th?
He's gone down table.
Like
he's not a striker either. It's not up front, is it?
No. He's going to add speed to the last third of the field. Speed to the last third of the field is absolutely essential. Believe me, Toby, it's essential.
Using a point that I made to you in the office outside earlier.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't make that point to me at all.
Have you guys been comparing notes beforehand?
Not at all.
We can't have that.
No, and I swear to you, I did not
have that.
I did not take part in that conversation.
Because otherwise I'll have to scratch this competition.
I did not take part in that conversation. Right, the second winner, let's move on. Roberto Martinez, because he's pulled it out of the bag, hasn't he? You were sitting there at Crystal Palace and watched him pull it out the bag and revive
I watched
Everton's
the ball
season.
hit Lukaku's sort of thigh and go in.
OK, but the third one...
It's not going to be in goal of the month, is it?
But the third one, and I think you're going to give me the victory for this one as well, because, again, it's a bit left field. Yeah. And, again, it's a very, very glamorous and beautiful woman, Kim Sears. Andy's girlfriend,
I like that.
Who gave the stick to the girlfriend of his semi-final opponent in a way that made me feel proud to be British.
Really?
Yes,
and what about the jumper?
What?
What about... Haven't you seen the jumper she wore?
Well,
the following day.
So what? Oh, yes, he did, yes, with the motive on. It wasn't a jumper, it was a sweatshirt. It was a sweatshirt.
Well,
yes.
either or.
Yeah, OK,
you
well,
remember what it said?
Of course I remember what it said.
It was the warning that they put on CDs.
Absolutely.
Parental guidance,
absolutely. Parental guidance and all that. And that, again, made me feel proud to be British. That. But it was mostly the attack, the verbal attack, which made her look like a gutsy, real up-front, up-strong British girl. Proud of her.
OK. Toby, give us your three.
Well, I know
you don't have to worry about the first two. Kim Sears is one to beat.
I know how much you appreciate a genius piece of work that will earn somebody an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace are the big winners this weekend. What genius management.
Excuse me, they lost to Everton.
Yeah, they also invited us to the game.
I'm talking about making money. This is not during the on-pitch activity. We're talking off-pitch. So they managed to sell Wilfried Zaha for £15 million 2 years ago. Since that time, they've loaned him for a total of 1 season back to Crystal Palace. Yeah. So that's 2 half-season parts, one at the start of this season and one at the end of the previous season. But they would have had to pay for his wages then, well,
wouldn't they?
Yes, to an extent, although the first time they only carried on paying what they were paying him initially, and United subsidised it, and the same again this time. They've now signed him back for £7 million, and that's including any add-ons, so it's actually less than that. So that's at the absolute minimum an £8 million profit. I just think that is an absolutely brilliant bit of management.
That's good, yeah.
A very, very rare place for Daniel Levy to be is in the winners section of anything.
It
has to be said. But he has finally proved in about the last 5 or 6 hours that he really does have Tottenham's best interests at heart. The opportunity was there for Emmanuel Adebayor to join what, let's face it, is a rival, maybe an outside rival, but a rival nonetheless for a Champions League place. And he's gone, do you know what? We're not going to subsidise his wages for you potentially to overtake us in the battle for the Champions League.
Which is ironic, because Manchester City subsidised his wages when he first went to
That's
Spurs.
absolutely ironic, but even more of an example of why he's a winner, that he was able to engineer such a move. And I just think that's absolutely genius bit of management, and again, another way of earning a load of money for your club and also ensuring that you're not helping out a rival.
Right.
And now my final one, in a countdown-esque moment, because we actually have the same winner of the weekend.
Do you?
And I've got it written down here. Kim Sears is a winner of the weekend for me. While her boyfriend, of course, proved a loser.
You copied that from me.
She finally got some
copied that
great
from me.
attention.
Have you been talking outside?
She proved she was a devoted supporter of her husband, and then showing...
He's not her husband, though.
Her husband to be.
The fiancé.
Showing...
I came up with it first.
As I've suggested.
If you keep interrupting, Mr. Parry, I'll have to deduct half a point.
She showed she's a devoted supporter.
Yeah.
She also then showed she had a great British sense of humour with the parental advisory explicit content shirt during that final with Novak Djokovic. And I have to agree, for once, with Mike Parry, that she's the winner of the weekend.
Well, I mean, that leaves me with no choice but to give you both the winner of the weekend. So you get half a point each for that, which means in total... I'm afraid it's Mike Parry 1.5. Toby Gillies a half a point.
So does that mean 3-1 with double points available?
That means he now gets 2 points for winning that because it's a double rollover. That makes it 5-0, doesn't it?
Yeah, 5-0. 5-0. 5-0. Right. 5-0.
Can we not deduct him points for that voice?
No, I think I may have to. But
I tell you what, you're deducting points when you see the picture of you.
Yeah, that was a very, very close game. Toby, thank you very much indeed. There'll be more winners and losers same time next week, of course. Coming up next, we will try and see what this awful picture of me might... Would you stop with that noise on your information machine?
I'm sorry.
It's making more noise. Can you not put it on mute or something?
Yeah, it sounds like a bubble. I will.
It does sound like a bubble. This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Just follow at the Two Mics, of course. I'm going up to Birmingham a little bit later on, so I'll give you a rundown of the show that's coming up on March the 6th a little bit later on Twitter as well. And of course, Mr. Parry, as we were saying earlier, we'll be doing another show at the Hen and Chickens. But I just wanted to mention to you, when we met on Saturday, just before we went down to Crystal Palace, we met at a pub in Victoria Station. I couldn't believe, first of all, how busy Victoria Station was.
Very busy.
It was around about, 11:30 on Saturday morning. Thousands of tourists. And went into Wetherspoons, and Wetherspoons at 11:30 in the morning was rammed as well.
It was.
And it wasn't just full of Everton fans and people going to the game. No. There seemed to be people from all walks of life. There were kids running about.
That's right.
We went and sat outside at the back where, of course, you can't smoke ridiculously, even though it's actually technically outside in a railway station.
Even though there's a huge gap there between the wall and the roof.
And it was freezing, just to prove that you knew that it was out there,
The
weather's very weird as well. I should have mentioned that. I got caught in a blizzard on the way up to London.
Really?
On Saturday morning on
Good
the M25.
job you got a 4x4.
Well, exactly. Not only good job it was the Land Rover rather than the other one, because there was snow on the ground. There was, battering snow coming up against the window. But I just found it interesting walking through the pub. As I was listening, I heard a couple of Liverpudlian accents talking about the game, talking about Everton, who obviously are Everton fans. But I also heard a couple of people just talking about health, what seemed to be the state of their health, right? And that was, as I was standing at the bar waiting to buy a drink, there was two guys just talking about their health.
I know.
Which is something I used to hear in America. I remember you used to go to, go to somewhere like Chicago, and you'd go into to use the toilets or something. There'd be two guys washing their hands going, what's your cholesterol level? And they'd start telling each other what the cholesterol level was, which we never used to do here.
I was in the same situation once in America when a guy said, "Have you had your count on your prostate?" And I'd never heard I didn't even know what a prostate was in those days. You know what I mean? What we're talking about. But funny you should say that. Since you mentioned that to me on Saturday, I've done some research on it. So that's what I do. And it now, according to a survey done recently, when men reach their 50s now, they're 3 times more likely to start trying to share confidence to friends about their body rather than what goes on in the bedroom, what they think about politics, and what they think about, life in general. The most popular topic for men to talk about with friends is the prostate problem. Yeah. Well, and this comes from a poll for Prostate Cancer UK.
Well, obviously, it's a much higher profile disease now than it used to be, which is thanks to Prostate Cancer UK, who are, of course, a partner of Talk Sports, and we talk about it a lot here. In fact, there's a cycle run being done by Matt Holland over to Amsterdam
it certainly
in
is,
June, which I thought was, when I heard it for the first time, I thought rather appropriate that Matt Holland's doing it, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Because they're going to Amsterdam.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Amsterdam?
Yeah.
That's where Louis van Gaal
let me mention Louis van Gaal to you, because I don't know if you've seen it on the back page, I think, of the Mirror today, where basically Louis van Gaal is not very happy. It says, Cam Buster, massive task for the FA Cup minnows, which is obviously Cambridge United tonight, live on TalkSport. Van Gaal claims everything is against you at Manchester United. Everyone wants the underdogs to win this game. He's right, isn't he?
Well, not really.
Yeah,
I'm not a great underdog supporter. I believe that the big clubs should continue their dominance, and that's the way football in this country will survive.
Yeah.
If we have too many clubs knocked out of the FA Cup won't be attractive. Getting back to men's health, by the way,
go on.
you know why all this has happened? It's because we now have the nanny state. So about every fourth advert
people
now...
do think about their health a lot more.
About every fourth advert now on the telly is, are you passing blood in your urine? If you are, are you
But that's
noticing...
what it's like in America, isn't it?
Yeah. Are you noticing this and, and get yourself checked out and all that kind of stuff? Adverts all over the place, blinking pages and pages in newspapers saying, if you detect this or if you suspect this, get to see your doctor immediately.
Nothing wrong with that.
One phone call can save your life.
One phone call could save your life, but actually the truth of it is, unfortunately, one phone call will not save your life, because one phone call will be made, first of all, to your GP, where your GP will say, or rather the receptionist who protects your GP, because no GP will ever come on the phone, will say, is it an emergency? In which case you say, no, it's not. And they say, well, we could see you about 3 weeks on Friday. Or would you like to come down and queue up? And you go, well, actually, no, because I have a job, so I can't just take the morning off to queue up on the off chance that the GP might see me for 2 minutes.
Actually, my local surgery in Surrey is very, very good indeed. They always give you an appointment, but they're good. But what I'm saying is that this, so-called awareness of your body has made everybody paranoid. And for instance, nobody knows the answer to the prostate problem. Some doctors say, right, everybody should go and get a test when they're over 50, And just as many doctors say, no, don't go for the test when you're over 50. You'll get panic-stricken. Yeah. It could give the wrong results.
Well, I don't think anyone ever says don't go for a test. No,
they do. They say you could have an operation you don't need. Yes, they do, Mike. They do. I research these things. Don't worry, I'm a researcher of the highest calibre.
I know
and I can tell you, a lot of doctors don't think you should have the test because it can be misleading and unhelpful. And so we're all now in pubs where we used to talk about football, where we used to talk about the weather, talk about the economy, talk about politics. We just talk now about blinking health.
Yeah.
Have you got a prostate problem?
How's
your heart?
Also, but don't you think
how's your heart? How's your liver?
Don't you think it's
how's your kidneys?
Excuse me. Yeah. How's your voice?
My voice is okay.
We'll give it a rest for a minute.
Yeah.
Well, do you not think it's also a part of this kind of very selfish society that we've now become? Which I mean, you've always been quite selfish and self-centred, right? And I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean that's the way you are.
No.
You've always been concerned with yourself. But don't you think society now has become much more selfish? And people want to talk about their health because that's all they care about. They want to know whether they're going to live or die. I don't actually care if I live or die.
Well, that's a bit of a flippant statement.
Well, no, it's not.
It's a flippant statement.
It's not flippant.
I have an attitude towards my mortality because, of course, I got very close to being immortal.
Yeah.
Not immortal. I got very close, to losing my mortality, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, becoming dead, in other words.
Becoming dead.
Or even dying, in a short form.
Becoming non-mortal.
No wonder sub-editors needed to hack around with your copy.
Right, yeah. I had a very close experience of being non-mortal.
You're coming very close to running out of time before you show me this painting that you've done. We're going to call on the great expertise of Mr. David Levine, our executive producer, who's going to pop into the studio and have a look, because he knows me well, and you'll be able to tell whether or not there's any likeness whatsoever. What do you think?
Not very much at all, Mike.
Rubbish.
Can you see any resemblance at all?
It's got glasses and some hair.
It,
it looks more like a woman than a man. I'm going to be honest.
Well, he has got feminine traits in his face. There's no doubt about it.
I am in touch with my feminine side.
He looks a bit like his sister. Believe me, I know his sister.
It also has old MG written underneath it. Because you wouldn't be able to tell who it was.
Rubbish.
If it wasn't there. Shall I show him?
Yes, please.
Let's have a look.
What are you laughing at?
I look like the guy from Wayne's World.
No, you don't.
The
you
blonde
look like
one.
You look like you.
Not Wayne, but the other one, Garth.
No, I think
Parry
you look like
on,
you.
Garth.
Yeah, anyway, listen, I want this photographed and put out on Twitter so that at least our listeners can give their own verdict, okay?
Yeah, I'm sure they will not think that it looks anything like me. Thank you, Mr. Levine.
If we can do that right away, please.
Yeah, all right. So I'm not working for you.
Yeah,
keep your hair on.
Just get it sorted, man.
Yeah, I'll do it. We haven't got time to get you to take a picture of it and send it out because that'll take about 24 hours.
That's because I'm a perfectionist.
It's because your information device keeps making the sound of a bubble.
I like to do everything properly.
Yes.
Right, okay, another delightful show with you, young Michael. Now, you're off to Birmingham tomorrow.
I am off to Birmingham in the morning, not even... I mean, just as soon as we finish this show, Mr. Levine and I are going to jump in the old beaten-up Mercedes and head up to Birmingham,
And what are you going to do up there?
Well, we're just going to work out the venue. We're going to find out how big it is, which is quite big, and how much the technology is going to need to be required, because obviously we couldn't leave that. We leave you to deal with all the artistic problems.
Absolutely.
The technology stuff we take care of on the ground.
You're very welcome
It's a very good idea.
Yeah.
And we might actually scout a place to stay as well.
Yeah, good idea, because we're going to need somewhere for the after-show party, aren't we? You know what I mean?
Well, it's not Jennifer Lopez we're going, is it? The after-show party.
What do you mean?
Well, who are you going to invite to the after-show party?
Well, there'll be a few chicks there who want to get close.
A few chicks?
To the
well, I'm bringing my daughter, who's going to be doing the emceeing of the show. I'm not going to have some kind of Roman orgy going on.
No, don't be ridiculous. You know what I'm talking about. I mean...
Levine's looking disappointed already.
Yeah, he is, yeah. I mean, the thing is, the Hen and Chickens, which is our lovely local theatre here in... What are you laughing at?
I'm just laughing at him.
It was our lovely local theatre here in London. We actually go in...
Our spiritual home, I think.
Our spiritual home. We go in and out of the Hen and Chickens through the front door of the pub.
Yeah.
And then we go to the stairs, we go up the stairs and go down.
Right.
Now, the rep, we actually go in and out of the stage door.
Oh, is there a stage door?
Stage door.
Fantastic.
So I'm expecting, like a groupie situation.
Really?
When we finished.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think so?
Zimmer frames all over the place.
No. I'm expecting, a few fans and, maybe of the female persuasion
really?
who've been really excited by the show.
This is why you're doing this, then?
No.
This is why you've got into this. Why don't you bring your Vauxhall Viva down, see if you can impress them?
That's a good idea.
You drive up and down.
It's a good idea, yeah. Drive them down in Vauxhall Viva.
You get an old Vauxhall Viva. Just turn up in it.
Hoot me on and say, I'm here. But I expect that we'll have to fight our way out through, a crowd of well-wishers at the end of the show.
Or people standing outside sort of girding and holding torches.
I don't think so.
I think they're going to get a bit of a shock at the old Birmingham round. I mean, this is the place I was looking at some of the other shows they're putting on, which are things like, very tweed plays and a bit of ballet here and there.
That's right, yeah, I know.
It's part sponsored by the Arts Council.
Oh, it's a top theatre.
Yeah, but I mean, have they any idea what we do? What did you tell them?
No.
Actually, you should tell me that, just in case you've told many lies that I have to then, back up.
I showed them one of our show videos from the Hen and Chickens.
Oh, okay.
So they know all about it. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Splendid. Well, we're very much looking forward to it.
Indeed.
And, I'm looking forward to getting up to Birmingham. So if the weather starts to get bad and it starts to snow or anything, I wouldn't mind a heads up so that I know whether to put the old snow tyres on or not.
Absolutely.
Mr. Parry, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you again
at
2 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yep. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics. Hasn't the Cumberbatch boy got a very narrow face? Cumberbatch, is it? Cumberbatch. Hasn't he got a very narrow face?
Well, I suppose you might say that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And
so is Clint Eastwood, though.
Clint Eastwood was a movie tough guy, though. Cumberbatch.
What's his first name?
Simon. No, hang on. No, he's got a very posh name, isn't
he has, yeah.
He went to Eton.
Yeah.
What's his name?
There's a saint named after it.
A saint.
Well, it's not named after him.
Saint. There's a lot of saints.
Yeah, there are.
Saint Nicholas,
starts with a B.
Saint Bernard.
Bernard?
Saint... what is... Saint...
He's about to get an Oscar.
Saint...